exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we where I can why do I flub it so much? Where we have a casual,
Boy.
informal conversation about Star Trek.
Woo.
Today we're focused on Star Trek Prodigy's finale, Supernova Part 2. And I am so pleased to be joined not just by Toddy, but by Braxton. So thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for coming on.
Hey boys, how's it going?
How
Pretty
you
good. How are
doing?
you, Braxton? Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Dude, happy New Year to both of you. Is
Thank you.
2023 off to a good start for you guys?
So far, so good. Especially now that
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with you guys. It's pretty cool. It's a
Dude,
good way to it's a good way to start the new year off.
Tyler, you're growing a beard, dude, for 2023.
This is a wife request, so it must be,
Ooh.
wife requests.
Mm,
Wife has requested the beard.
You know how it be.
Very nice.
must be accommodated. Hmm.
Hello and happy New Year to our audience. We have Joel, who can't be here, but he popped in and said hello. We have our friend Cake is Eternal here, and Ruben. Thank you for popping in, guys. Don't forget to like, share, retweet. Oh, Benjinium's here too. So Stan is Stan. Oh, Stan says they're hunting for apartments, but they'll try to pop in another time, so it's cool. But very nice. Yeah. We're here to talk about Prodigy season finale, Supernova Part 2. I guess does anyone want to do the episode summary, or shall I do it?
You do it.
I do
Give
it.
it make it short and sweet though.
Short and sweet. Okay. Let me think about how I'm gonna do this short and sweet, because all right, basically Star Trek Prodigy season finale made me cry from the beginning to the end, like nonstop. The first time I watched it, it was just like floodgates open, tears. I'm not over it. I cried again when I just watched it now, so I keep crying and crying. But that being said, it's phenomenal. So these are opinions. Here's the summary. Those were opinions. Now the summary. So our last episode, we were left in a tight predicament where basically the living construct got to do its mischief and was wreaking havoc all over with the local presence of the Starfleet. Some other folks came to help out, but it's not going good. Like, I mean, the scene just opens with like all these destroyed ships and wreckage and everything like that. And Dal actually realizes in that moment when it's really bleak that they have to sacrifice the protostar, and so that's what they decide to do. But Jankum rightfully points out that destabilizing a protostar will create like a 50 light year explosion, destroying everything in its path. So then Rock Talk comes up with this brilliant idea to initiate the proto warp right as they're destabilizing the core to spread the damage out across space-time, thus minimizing the effects of a supernova. And so Janeway and the crew have literally 10 minutes. So they clear out of the war zone. They get ready. They start constructing a shuttlecraft, but they only can do the bare minimum. They can't put even navigation into it or anything like that. The crew's super worried about what will happen to Janeway, and Hollow Janeway's like, no problem. You can put me on a nice linear chip. It's all good. And by the way, I love that cat boots, cat butt. Sorry. Oh, that's cute. That's Ahsoka, right? No, that's Esri. Esri heard me. Esri was talking about me. All right. Hey, Captain Quinn. Evening in the audience. But anyways, so Hollow Janeway's like, oh, just put me. I'll be on this isolinear chip. You guys can take me with me. I'll be with you. I'll be in two places at once. Anyways, amidst all the preparation, Hollow Janeway realizes that their program will no longer fit on just an isolinear chip because there's so many experiences and things like that. And so they make the decision to go ahead and just pretend they're going on it and she gives it to Dal, and Dal takes the chip. They get into the shuttlecraft. There's beautiful emotional scene, beautiful music with the shuttle being ejected, and then the protostar going to its destruction, being scuttled, as we say in the Navy. Not we. I've never been in the Navy, but as they say in the Navy, they scuttled the protostar. And there's this beautiful kind of nebula that forms, and it reminds me a lot of like both Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3 in terms of the emotion of it, and the beauty, like kind of showing this beautiful like thing happening, this cosmic event, so to speak, from destruction. You get this like beautiful thing. So the kids, after the protostar is destroyed, the kids are like, oh, Janeway's going to want to see this. They load up the program, and in a very sad scene, Janeway tells them that she lied. Holo Janeway confesses that she lied, and it was nothing could be done, but that she knew that they would be like protesting and trying everything they could to save her. So she did that. And the kids are just heartbroken, and they're not even sure how they're going to get back, but the hologram says, I believe in you guys. Like, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Flash forward to, and I love the scene in the Dauntless. I gotta stop doing my opinions. Just do the summary. I was supposed to do a short summary. I'm doing this like long summary. Anyways, Janeway orders on board the Dauntless a search party be dispatched, and Commander Tysus is like, yo, that's like a lot of space to cover. And Admiral Janeway's like, yeah, they deserve it. Like, they just saved everyone. And then we go back to flash forward to I'm not sure, I forget how much time has passed, but flash forward to Starfleet HQ, and they're doing a debriefing about everything that happened. And one of the science officers reveals that what Holo Janeway had actually done was create a interspatial flexure, which actually points them right to the location of Chakotay, which we find out is 52 years in the future. And we get like a actual coordinates to where he is. We'll talk about that in more detail, of course. And then Janeway's like, don't disrespect my protostar people. And just then there's an announcement that the shuttle's landing, and it lands in San Francisco Bay, and they rescue the kiddos. And then there's this like tribunal scene or trial scene where Janeway gets to give a really amazing speech appealing to Starfleet to let the kids into Starfleet Academy. Unfortunately, they don't get into the academy, but they are set up with a pretty sweet deal, if you ask me, where they get to be shadows, kind of like to Janeway, and go on a mission and learn about Starfleet from her directly on a ship of her own choosing, which I'm sure we'll speculate about during this discussion. Anyways, Janeway could only get 5 of them in because that's what they allowed, but anyways, because we find out that actually Gwen is going to go off and try to find the Vonnegut homeworld, because now they have the coordinates to it as well, with the star charts from the Holo program and stuff like that. So that's happening. We also find out that 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 Dal and Gwen are interested in each other, and so they acknowledge their romance, and they promise to see each other again. And the kids are super chuffed, and when they're sitting outside, Janeway comes to grab them, and they find out that there's a new protostar class. And they're all excited, like, oh my gosh, we're going to get to be on the protostar. And Janeway's like, no, I've got bigger plans. Are you coming? And voila, season 1 comes to an end. Almost happily ever after type of stuff. And we're ready to go into season 2. It's going to be a long wait. Anyways, how was my summary? Did I miss anything?
Your summary was perfect, and you hit all the big points, dude. So you said that you were crying all episode. What specific?
That seems a bit much.
No, the whole
it does.
thing just gets me the whole thing, every single thing. Like just when I'm like, okay, I can compose myself. Then Janeway gives a speech about Dal and his big heart, and I'm like, thought of Braxton, by the way, when that was happening, because I wonder, I'm very, I always like got to follow up with you on your Dal opinion. And then like just all the beats, like revealing the protostar becomes a protostar class, the whole thing, just everything about this episode was very special. This whole season, in fact, I got through the first 4 episodes. I'm rewatching the whole season, and I'm excited after this discussion I'll get back to it and continue my journey, because it is truly, for me, and I guess I'll just jump right into my opening statement and let you guys do yours, but for me this is a truly special series. Like I think this is the Star Trek series that is going to bring in a lot of fans into Star Trek. It's a wonderful introduction for younger audiences into the universe, the ethos, the purpose, the larger purpose of Star Trek. So so I loved it. I love the whole series. I love the finale. I think that the writers really hit a home run with this one. Star Trek has hit a home run with this one. So let's go over to you, Braxton. What did you think of this finale? And you can give some thoughts on the whole season as well.
So I did like this episode. The last episode previous to this one made me feel so much tension. So while I do think it was a good episode, it's hard to say that I liked it because I just felt so tense. Um, you know, like they introduced like the big stakes early. They're like, "Ooh, we got to build a ship," but then it's gonna blow up like 50 million like Terra whatever of space, and like we can't do that. So like, how are we gonna like science it out? So I like that they just kind of like got that done in the first 5 minutes, and then it was about like the kids moving on. So this episode actually made me feel like relaxed. I really enjoyed some of the wrap ups of some storylines. I like that. I knew that Dal and Gwen were gonna kiss again. Um, but I liked, like the way that unfolded. Um, you know, just recently I've upgraded to a PlayStation 5, and I was unable to move all of my data from my PlayStation 4 to my PlayStation 5. So, you know, I lost some data
Oh
too.
no.
You know,
You
like
lost
when
Hello
it
Janeway.
dude, like when it said insufficient space, I was like, oh, I know the thing of it. Um, you know, so I enjoyed this season. I do like my one real gripe is at the end, the last few minutes, um, like Zero's new suit. Like in some frames it has legs, in some frames it doesn't have legs, and it's floating. And so I just felt like super weird. Like they would just like go back and forth. There's like 5
Yeah.
different frames,
There's a
and
couple
like
animation errors.
with legs, without legs, with legs, without legs. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. But I really did enjoy this episode, and I think that this is a fine season of Star Trek Prodigy. It almost feels like 2 seasons to me because we had to wait so long between episodes 10 and 11. Um, but I love the season. I think overall, um, maybe it's recency bias, but I think this could be Star Trek's most beautiful show. Just like some of the animations are just like outstanding. When hologram Janeway makes her ultimate sacrifice, like the thing that kind of looks like a blue nebula, that was like so gorgeous. And then like there's a scene at the end when like Dal is like looking out to the sky and you see like a rocket shooting across the sky, like you see like its tail. And that was just so beautiful. I mean, this could be Star Trek's most beautiful show.
I think you might be right. And also just even I feel like the animation, uh, you know, to me, it doesn't bother me as much about Zero's legs, but I understand what you mean. But like to me, like when Janeway's lip kind of quivered when she realized like what's going, like what she has to do, and like her sighing when the doors close because she's like has to lie to these kids and she knows what they're gonna feel. Oh, I'm gonna start crying right now. Anyways, take it over, Toddy. Your opening thoughts.
I want to echo what Braxton said. I very much appreciated that this part, because this is basically, we're talking about like the second part of what is one episode essentially, right? But I very much appreciated that this episode took the time to like close a couple of storylines and also let us kind of like relax on Earth. If anything can be said about like the Voyager finale is that like we were kind of robbed of that. And it feels like, I don't know, it feels nicer to actually have a conclusion, and so you kind of have a conclusion to the season. If this had been like the like roller coaster tension ride right up to the end, then it would have been too much. It would have been overwhelming, and I wouldn't have appreciated it as much. So the fact that they did this in that episode, I really really like that. Otherwise, no, I think it's a great episode. I think the character, like the voice acting, is amazing. The characters are fantastic. The solutions that they came up with they were great. It was nice to not just have the episode about like this world, this universe ending thing. They kind of like went off, and then it was more about like the character struggles that they were going through, whether or not they can join Starfleet, Dals and Augment, etc. And then, like you guys were saying in reference to like the show itself, I'm not sure if Prodigy is the prettiest Star Trek show, but I'll say this: I think it's given me like a definitive answer to like which Star Trek show should I watch first. I think it's this one. I think Prodigy is the show that people should start with in terms of Star Trek, and not just kids. I think this works immensely well for adults. It's a great introduction to like the ideals and the values of Star Trek and Starfleet. And I think it gives you a good idea of like what Star Trek as a whole is trying to achieve, both in storytelling and like cinematography and in like real world battles as well. So yeah.
I think that adults should start with Strange New Worlds, because like it's a kind of a short show. Like it's like like it's very stylistically like very fresh. And I think that adults will like that more. But like definitely kids. I've been kind of skeptical on Prodigy just because, I am an adult, and like me watching kid shows, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I watch it more so because it's Star Trek. I feel like generally people, well, I mean, but a lot of adults have children,
So
but like the people that I know, like the adults that I know that watch Star Trek don't watch Prodigy.
But that's the uphill battle that it faces because of the stigma around the fact that it's animated and for kids. But I would argue that this is 100% a better season than Strange New World season 1. No doubt. Like
Wow.
take away the fact that it's for kids or the fact that it's animated. Just like which is
That's
the better
high praise
season?
from Toddy. Toddy
This.
doesn't give the kind of compliments out. So
I mean,
yeah.
Strange New World season 1 was fine, right? It was fine.
I think it's phenomenal. I kind of agree. Like, with Star Trek,
This pushed the
there's so
boundaries
many.
that Strange New Worlds didn't.
We could definitely talk about that when we do a season analysis, because I haven't done a season analysis for either. However, what I want to just say is that like the cool thing is because I think you still do have to like kind of there's a lot of biases against animation. Like a lot of people really just like think that I agree with that point about animation. So it's cool. I also would recommend Strange New Worlds though, if someone told me like I don't know if I want to get into an animation show. However, I would strongly lobby for Prodigy because I do agree that I think that like if you watch it, you'll not only fall in love with the show but also with animation because it is beautiful. It's like the animation's really top notch. Benny Bunn and his team have just really poured a lot into it. And again, I know there's like little, I'm sure I can't think of any thing that doesn't have like a production error. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, like it seems like I think Zero's legs missing. I think you'll watch something else and
I think
you'll
in
find
Lower Decks episode 1, there's a guy sitting on a chair that isn't there. Like
right
the chair wasn't layered in or
or
rendered in
something
or
like that.
whatever.
Yeah, or something like that. It can happen. There's sometimes, especially these days, you're rendering on a computer. Maybe the animators animated it, but like the computer just glitched out. The computer's just glitched out or whatever for whatever reason. So uh, again, I can't really fault them. I am a fan of like, well, we live in the modern era, so like why not just go back and fix it? But I mean, I get it, like the budget was already done for it, so you have to like do another you have to do another one or whatever.
I actually think it's easier to fix things on live action shows than it is in animated shows, because like once the animation is done, I think it's maybe you can go back and like fix the raw footage, like the animation
Yeah,
files,
maybe.
but I feel like doing a quick like VFX overlay on like a panel or something to take away like the spelling error in Stamets' name in Discovery, like that's an easy fix.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, and I think they did fix things like that. Didn't we catch something that was fixed? Like it was
There was a
wrong, and then
Lower Decks thing, I
something.
feel like, that
Yeah,
they
yeah,
fixed at some point.
yeah. But regardless, with those little continuity, those little like technical errors or whatever, it at the end of the day, they're not like egregious enough to like, it's not
made
like,
humans, right?
yeah,
Like,
but
we're
now
gonna make
not just
mistakes.
that, it's not so egregious that you're like, oh, it ruined the whole show for me. I think someone else pointed out like Gwen's eyebrows disappeared sometimes or something like that. And there's just like all kinds of little things. I personally, now
You
that I'm
can't all
watching,
blame it on corn, right?
well, also now that I'm watching Star Trek the animated series and doing discussions on it, there's like lots of little things like that that happen even back then. Like there's sometimes where I think I forget what it was, but like someone had a red arm but a yellow. They were supposed to be wearing a yellow, yeah, I think, or something like that. But there's all kinds of things that can happen. It's just that way, and so I'm gonna go with that. Like maybe it's a tradition at this point. It's a Star Trek animation tradition, so I'm gonna lovingly accept all these mistakes. but that being said, Cake is saying Toddy is going boldly, and Captain Quinn says, "Oh, I can agree with that. Strange New Worlds was pretty good though." And then something about it was sent to the wrong screen. They printed the film already. Oh yeah, like maybe that, who knows what the reasons are. I would love to hear more interviews. I can't wait till the Blu-rays come out and they talk more.
I think
about,
it's
like,
dangerous though to start like wanting to fix things. Like, you'd have to kind of establish clear boundaries on what you can fix and what have you. I like the idea of like the final cut is the final cut. You send it out, that's what people see, that's what it is. Like if you've made a mistake, you made a mistake. They'll be like, they'll be like changing your episodes every 6 months because something,
just draw the damn legs, dude.
Just draw the damn legs, dude.
Dude, that's all.
That would be Braxton's producer note. He watches the finale and he's like, just draw the damn legs. Throws it to the Hageman brothers.
Aikens Eternal says the animated series can't remember which episode switched between Transporter Chief and Scotty several times at the yeah, there's all kinds of
playing musical chairs in the transporter room. Come
on. So what did you guys
Scotty
think
can't
of
be
the,
working all the time, dude. Like, I mean, maybe there's like different shifts.
Yeah, no, there definitely
break.
is.
I mean, he can't be. I mean, I have to imagine, dude, that there's probably like 24-hour period. There's like 4 shifts, dude.
That is. I know it's a meme, but it must be the longest shift on the whole ship, just to be sitting there
in 3 shifts.
That damn room, just like standing there. Like no one's like sometimes you're at a warp, no one's beaming.
Like I feel like there's like 5 different transporter operators because like you need like 3 shifts per day. Like people need like days off and weekends. I feel like there's like no less than like 5 people who are operating the transporter, and we only see like 2 of them.
That's totally happening. That's legit.
That's fair.
That's legit.
I wouldn't be there though.
Delta
like
shift.
I would put like a hologram of me Just I wouldn't do it. I'd go somewhere else.
But Cake is pointing out that in this particular instance, and I think I remember this also, that Scotty switches in the same
Oh yeah,
scene
no,
back in.
absolutely.
He goes from blonde to back to his hair with the Scottish accent. So yeah, it happens.
Starfleet
It's
Boy
a thing.
argues it's a tradition, and
It's
they
a
don't
tradition.
make mistakes. They do it on purpose.
They do
to
it on
honor
purpose.
tradition.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude,
To
so
honor
when
tradition.
has a hologram told as many lies as Janeway, dude?
What?
Like
What
I
do you?
feel like
He's-
she's hologram Janeway has lied like 2 times in the last 3 episodes, dude. Like, like when the kids were stuck in the holodeck, like she like stole the codes and I'm sure she lied about something. And
well, you
then
got
she lied to the kids to be easy on their field. Like she's like, oh yeah, straight up, I lied. I'm not on that disc, you know.
Okay, first of all,
It's not quite the delivery.
Let's
though.
just talk about poor Hollow Janeway for a second, Braxton, because this poor hologram was infiltrated by the living construct, so you can't really fault them for what was going on during all that. Then, just when they get their own autonomy back from Vice Admiral in the last episode, or the couple episodes ago, when they purged the living construct from Hollow Janeway, she's forced to do this thing. Like, I think she did the right thing. Her programming made the right choice, I think, to lie to the kids, because those kids weren't going to abandon Janeway. Like, and they only had 5 minutes. They only had 5 minutes.
Also, Starfleet Boy, I thought that the living construct could take over the ship, and I thought that it was intelligent enough that it might want to preserve itself. I was actually surprised that it was so easy to just blow up the ship. I was thinking okay, well, maybe now that it's achieved its mission of infecting Starfleet with its virus, that it's that okay, well, now everything has changed and it can be destroyed or something because it's achieved its mission. But when they decided to build the ship up and Janeway was going to do it, I thought that it would not be easy because I thought that the living construct would try to preserve itself. So I thought that was interesting.
I don't think it's advanced enough. It is similar to the sphere data and the sphere that they encountered. In Discovery, how is it the sphere data that made the ship impossible you can't destroy the ship anymore?
Well, it was putting up a fight. I'm sure they could have destroyed it if they really wanted to, but they realized that when it was when Disco was not letting itself get destroyed, that maybe there was something going on, and
and that evolved into what is Zora now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. However, what I think is
what's the living construct isn't advanced, I think, technologically speaking, as that.
I'll let you know, Braxton, when I watch the whole season again. I'll pay more attention, a little closer attention, but my gut tells me that the living construct needed Hollow Janeway to execute a lot of functions that it couldn't do, on the ship. Just some routine. So, I think Hollow Janeway said that she was in charge of lower systems or something like that. So when Janeway was now purged from the construct's influence, then Janeway could do these things to kind of trick it or route around it, or whatever. So I think they just didn't give it enough time to do whatever it was going to do. You know what I mean? If it, they did it, the reason they moved so fast and did this so quickly is because they were well, first of all, they didn't want more ships to get destroyed, but also I think, so that the living construct couldn't really catch on. That's my theory. That's a theory I'm going to go with for the moment. I think that it's also, to some degree, it might have been overwhelmed with focusing on the fleet, the construct. It's you saw literally it seems to project itself onto a ship, or it would show an image of the ship or whatever. So I imagine it's computer cores, even though this thing's so advanced, if there's 100 ships that it's destroying, it has to wait till some are destroyed before it can kind of free up bandwidth or whatever, so I'm just imagining that they had a good opportunity. It was just a nice little window that they could, take advantage of in that moment. So that's my theory. We got some comments though. Let's see here. Let's see here. Aaron always has a great explanation for the quirks. Yes, that's true. I feel like the protostar may not be gone. Hollow Janeway as well, surely not gone. Oh, I really hope that's true, but at the same time, I kind of am okay with it because it was a really good sacrifice. Like it felt like I could. I'm not gonna of course I love Hollow Janeway, but like at the same time, now that we're getting Vice Admiral Janeway with the kids, like
Exactly. It's kind of
yeah,
redundant to have her, right?
yeah, it would be well, I wouldn't say redundant. It'd just be
I
like
said the same thing about the two
yeah.
brothers in Avatar, but like
You did.
I did. No, but I mean, we Hollow Janeway was. I really loved the character. I think that Kate Mulgrew and the writers did a fantastic job at like defining Hollow Janeway as her own character. But I feel like no, we don't need Hollow Janeway necessarily back, and it might take a bit away from like the sacrifice and the importance of like her actions if she were to come back. So I would rather her not. But on the other hand, I'm sort of thinking like, I don't know, is Chakotay stranded with like no ship in the future, or is there a protostar in the future?
So that's the interesting thing.
Is there a Hollow Janeway with him?
Well, so that's the well, yeah. Remember, Hollow Janeway was with Chakotay on the protostar as like a guide or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the interesting thing, and I like that line. Gwen says time travel is a funny thing because in actuality, like there's 52 years until the protostar is sent back. So at some point they will probably encounter protostar, Chakotay, Diviner. All these things will kind of have to come into play again.
You know what the season finale needs to be? The season finale needs to be like a resolution of this loop where they actually save Hollow Janeway and she starts teaching like a new generation of kids.
Or I think, unfortunately, Hollow Janeway would, to close the loop, they said this on Text Trek. I tuned in just like real quickly. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing, but something about like closing the loop means that Hollow Jane will have to remember to do this again. So like in a weird way, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Because you have to keep the events in order for the other events to happen, whatever is going to
Stop with the time travel, people.
Well,
Dude,
yeah.
you know, this show could be called Star Trek Prodigy, Janeway's unsanctioned missions with orphans. You know, so the thing is, like, it was Hollow Janeway doing unsanctioned missions with orphans. You know, and now in season 2, it's going to be Vice Admiral Janeway. She's like, oh yeah, we like going dark. Like nobody.
She's got to save that Chakotay.
Like nobody on the ship is like an actual Starfleet officer. It's just like
that yet.
It's just like her and the kids, dude.
You don't know that.
Like,
she's not gonna steal Voyager
out there traveling in the future, dude. Like, dude, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
You think she's gonna go get Seven and Rafi?
If she needs to kill some people, like who better to call?
Wait, who are we talking about? Hollow Janeway?
No. Janeway is going to steal the Voyager A with Seven and Rafi and the kids, and they're gonna time travel.
They're not gonna steal it. She's got a mission. She says, "Come on, I got a bigger shit. You know, I've got a bigger thing like than the protostar."
It's just like, Braxton's saying it's unsanctioned and
stuff. No, it's totally sanctioned. They said you can like they're called warrant officers, which I thought that was a commission thing, but I've seen people say that it's a non-commissioned position. Regardless, like a warrant officer is what they're being trained under, and so it's totally going to be Voyager A next season. I mean, we got the little reveal about with the shuttle, right? The shuttles were from the Voyager A, so that was the registry of the Voyager -A.
Yes.
So
Seven is out there, part of the Fenris Rangers right now,
dude. If Janeway needs some dudes killed, dude, call 7 of 9, dude. You need some dudes killed, dude. You just gotta call 7, dude.
Dang, I don't think each of us died yet, right? So like 7's probably still.
She's out there. She's out there with the Fenris Rangers,
she's
right?
Still probably very.
Or have the Fenris?
Like,
no, No, the Fenris Rangers, have they begun yet, or did they only come into existence after
We don't have
the Romulan supernova?
This is pre supernova.
This is pre-supernova, but like, do the Fenris Rangers exist? No, they exist after, right? Or are they already
I
like in
think
the
so.
neutral
Yeah,
zone?
because they're doing the they're like policing where Starfleet won't go.
Okay.
Basically. So yeah.
So this is post-supernova. Okay.
But you know what, dude? But I feel like
Still go
maybe
get 7.
Janeway did not do everything that she could for Seven of Nine, and Seven of Nine really might not like her. She might feel like Janeway had turned her back on her and didn't like use her Starfleet influence to like help her in ways that would have like made her life better.
It is a funny thing that Picard chose to say that Janeway tried but couldn't get 7 into Starfleet, and then Jean-Luc is able to just give her a provisional like a field commission, like right in the spot. I do think that that's weird that like that happened, but but it's okay because do you guys think we'll see that drama on Prodigy in the future? Because they did say we're gonna see more familiar faces coming up next season, that we'll see a lot more, and that makes sense now that we're part of Starfleet.
I hope that
it's possible we'll see like the rest of the crew, like Tom.
I do hope that
Milana.
like the show stays about like the characters that it's established. I would like to see all of those familiar faces come back the same way like we saw Jellicoe, right? We're seeing people, they're part of the universe, they're part of like Starfleet. You see them in passing because it's only natural to see them. But I would prefer that the show stays really about the characters that it's created.
Dude, what about if Janeway made an appearance on Picard season 3 and
Oh my gosh,
and Seven of Nine smacked the shit out of her like like you did Jean-Luc Picard, dude.
Dang.
Would that be amazing, dude?
I would think that Janeway would not deal with that very well.
It's like Janeway and Picard fighting about like 7, about like who told her the most stuff and who's.
What would she do? Seven of Nine will kill her, dude.
Braxton's on a tip today.
Yeah, Captain. I want to see Captain Ensign Kim, and I want to see everyone still call him Ensign.
Ensign Captain. Oh,
dude, Milana is going to be visited. That's true, Cake.
Wow, you guys. What did you guys think of the the whole thing? Just the whole sequence from showing the fleet in its dire carnage state, all the way up to prepping the protostar for the destruction warp or whatever, and all that stuff. Like what how did you guys feel during all that? I mean, I already told you guys I was like crying like a baby, but how are you guys feeling emotionally about it? I know you're lying, but
no, I don't care. It's not that I don't care about like people dying or that kind of stuff. It's just that like this kind of scene where like the ships are blowing up and there's plenty of ships on the screen, like it does nothing for me. It's not what I tune into like to see, and I'm not like invested in that. So once they kind of like snapped away from it quickly, they found they come up with a solution to like have the ship proto warp away like that. I was like, okay, that's fine. I preferred everything that came after that.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The whole scene of up to the destruction of the protostar. That's all the first half of the episode, basically.
No, it's like, is it? No.
Yeah, it's like
5
minutes.
I think
it's like the first 5 minutes, Starfleet boy. Like they.
Oh, it's like 8 minutes. You're right. No, it's like 8 or 9 minutes. But that's halfway through the episode. It's a 22 or 24-minute episode. That's like a huge chunk of the episode. I think you guys are not remembering how long these episodes are.
The wreckage did hit me hard, dude. Like, so, I mean, yeah, the ships were under attack by each other, but they didn't seem like they were actually being destroyed. But then, that ship that was like, it was just like a wreck. I was like, oh my God, I feel like 200 people died, or maybe the Klingons like beamed them off. But I feel like the Klingons would never have come to the Federation's rescue in that circumstance. It's like, oh, the Federation's about to lose like 200 ships. Good.
But remember when
Like,
the Klingons came to rescue in the Defector episode when the Romulan warbirds or the Klingons come in the clutch a lot actually because they can't remember like Jean-Luc was facing off in the Defector episode, the Romulan warbirds just decloak and then he's like ha 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 and then 3 warbirds Klingon bird of prey rather decloak as well like to back up
I'm gonna
Enterprise
assume.
like and also remember like at this point, Klingons are firmly our allies. They may not agree with us philosophically, but they're here to help. I feel like, you know.
Klingons are good friends. They swear like blood oaths and stuff. Like,
I'm still going to assume that they came in hot with the scanners, trying to figure out what it was that was destroying the Federation, so that they could take it for themselves, just in case.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's a smart move to try and make a copy of that, whatever it is.
Thank goodness no one could. By the way,
this is what the Romulans would have done, right?
Benjenium wants to know, wait, does Toddy just watch Star Trek for the stories? I guess so. That's it.
Wait, what else do you watch shows for?
No, but the ship stuff is great in Star Trek. I mean, it's some of the best ship stuff ever.
Oh no, I could spend 10 minutes just watching, like ship shots, you know what I mean? But it's like the whole concept of plenty of ships on screen getting blown up and firing at each other. Like it seems like every season finale of this era of Star Trek, and I don't need that. So when they kind of move away from it, I'm better.
Captain Quinn says the Klingons relate to Wolf 359. they felt they felt guilty that they were late to that. By the way, this reminded me, that opening shot with the debris and everything, it did remind me a lot of Wolf 359 actually.
More so than ship shots, I appreciate the celestial bodies that we see in Star Trek, like the nebulas and like the planets and like the suns, like the black holes. Like I like the anomalies. I more so appreciate like the celestial bodies. Yeah.
This is where this show like really shines. Like the visuals in terms of like you say, celestial bodies in space when you're like in orbit of a planet, and then just like landscapes when you get to see the actual surface of the planet. Like this show is beautiful.
Yeah, totally. And we saw a lot of different, in the first half of the season, we saw a lot of strange new worlds. Actually, throughout the whole season, now that I'm thinking about it, we saw lots of like cool locations and stuff like that. The season feels so big, right? Doesn't it? Like, 20 episodes is the biggest season of, in terms of the amount of episodes of modern Star Trek. Like, 20 episodes is a big deal. Everyone else just does 10. Or like I think Disco season 1 was 14 episodes or 15 maybe 15. So that was the closest we got to that. So that was pretty cool. Oh, and we got lots of star charts too. Captain Quinn says it's true. I didn't remember that, Captain Quinn, so I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I guess the Klingons came too late. They would have been disappointed at that because Klingons love to die in battle. It's it's always a good day to die. So actually, that was probably a big blow to the.
They don't like dying of being hacked.
They don't want to die like in stupid ways, like things hitting them, like barrels hitting their back and breaking their backs. That's not like how Klingons want to die. They want to die with...
You have to make sure you got like a friend around that's ready to kill you just in case. Ceremonially stab you.
Oh, I like having Captain Quinn in the audience. Nice facts here. Specifically, in Hansen's pronouncement, we've mobilized a fleet of 40 starships at Wolf 359, and that's just for starters. The Klingons are sending warships. So that was the line. So that's cool. Yeah, too bad those Klingons didn't arrive on time for that. But they came in the clutch for them this time. I love that scene when the Klingon commander who came to help came to assist is like getting ready to die because that one Centaur class was powering up its photon torpedoes and they just lost their shields, which also I like that they showed that like the shields kind of like flicker off. Like that was a cool thing, like so that you know that the shields were down, like without having to say shields are down. But that's right, and right at that moment, they get the protostar's sacrifice gets into effect, and the construct no longer has its influence over the ships. I really like that. As far as the show is all audiences, but it's definitely targeting it's definitely, being on Nickelodeon and everything, it's definitely targeting a younger audience. Toddy, you specifically as a parent, but also Braxton, what are your thoughts on the kind of like the heaviness of that scene afterwards where the kids are like realizing what's happened? Even especially Rock Talk's like reaction, like like Rock was like kind of like doing this and like just like the emotion and everything like that. I thought it captured really well kind of like the trauma of loss, or like the experience of loss that that of someone you have grown fond of, a friend. Rock Talk especially was saying how like you have all these, you're not just a hologram, you're someone that we care about, like you have real feelings and emotions and thoughts that you've been a part of our journey. It's like uh that's part of the heaviness of like why I think I was crying nonstop, is that like to me it's true. It's like Janeway's been through a lot, and I really love, I love particular stories where like uh you know that kind of like more than meets the eye thing. Like I think society is getting on the verge of like discovering new life forms through artificial intelligence, one day maybe becoming like new intelligence instead, and things like that. So yeah, what were your thoughts on that whole, on the kids reacting to the quote, to the actual death of Janeway? It was the death of a character. We got the death of the diviner last episode, and then we get another death this episode.
Yeah,
Orphans can
Gwen lost her parent.
stand a death, can't they? Haven't their parents died already?
No, but you could be orphaned from your parents in a number of ways, Braxton. Like, but yes, I think you're right. Orphans might be a little bit more, but that doesn't mean that
You think they're numb to the experience now?
I don't think so. I think Toddy and
Jesus Christ.
Braxton are numb to the experience, but I don't know about the kiddos.
Okay, in respect to what you're saying, I do think that like I don't know, something like a Pixar film where like The Good Dinosaur opens with the kid dinosaur losing his parent. I think that kind of trauma and the explicitness of it will speak more to children, because children, they understand what it is to have a parent, they understand what it is to be with their parent. They're watching literal scenes where like the dinosaur is with his father, and then the father is washed away, quite like visually, in the river. And I think that speaks more to like the trauma that you're talking about here. I don't think that things would connect quite the same when it comes to like Hollow Janeway making a sacrifice. I do think that on like a story level, most kids would probably understand that like it sucks, they're not going to see this character again, and they like the character, and they were kind of relating to the character the same way that the kids were on the show. So I think that's where, but I don't think it's quite as big. That being said, you say me as a parent, my daughter didn't really watch the show too much.
I think she's a little too young.
She's a little bit too young. This is not the show's fault.
Yeah, the target audience has always been like, I think 6 and up or something.
Yeah, it's like I think it's TV 7.
Oh, okay.
So I guess depending on like some children will watch things. It depends. But no, my daughter's always been kind of like on and off. She'll watch certain scenes, others she won't. It'll depend on like her mood as well. It can depend on many things. But she wouldn't understand quite, like she understands who's bad, who's mean, who's doing dreadful things. Sometimes she has the musical cues that'll help her figure it out, but she won't necessarily understand like the sacrifice of Janeway, at least not at her age for the moment, right? Because I don't think my daughter quite understands the concept of death yet. I don't know when that comes, like at what age that comes. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, especially when we're talking about like a holographic death. So these are kind of like even higher, I think, concepts. I don't know. I don't know when it comes along that you really kind of comprehend.
I don't
Uh,
think that you really comprehend people dying until like you're like a
you've
teenager.
experienced it,
You
maybe.
know, like I mean, I had people who were close to me die when I was like, you know, 6 or 7 or 8, and I don't know. I don't think that you really understand like the end of existence until like
Mm.
you're like a teenager. Like, I mean, maybe if your like mom or dad or like grandma died and they were like with you like all the time, and maybe it's just like you would understand the loss if you were like that age. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I didn't really like
Like you
understand death
experience the
till I was
pain and the
older.
I
trauma of like the fact that they're no longer there, you mean, but you don't quite understand the whole idea behind it, the concept behind it, I guess.
There was a weird thing
Yeah.
in the 80s that I remember, and I don't remember how old I was, but I was pretty young. I think I was definitely under 8 years old, so it might have been around 7. Um, remember when kids were like getting locked in refrigerators? Do you guys remember any of that stuff? That's not
No.
a thing
What
you
the
remember.
hell?
Anyways, on Punky Brewster, Cherry, the character Cherry, almost died because she was locked in a refrigerator, and I think that's the first time I talked to my parents about death. So, which by the way, Captain Quinn pointed out that I would feel it would it would have to be it would have to open conversations for parents. So yeah, like that's the cool thing is like depending on the kid that's watching it, if they've already experienced this could be a great talking point. That's the thing I like about Star Trek
Yes.
Prodigy is that they do present a lot of great life things like in the whole series that you can then go and talk to your kids about, because like think about it, like we're talking about human trafficking, slavery, death, like morals, like ethics, like there's so much
There's
good
every level and there's
material.
every
Yeah,
age too. That's the thing
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah.
It's like because there's as much to talk about for just adults. Like we can sit here and talk about like all of these things that are being addressed in the show as adults, but then also there are things that you can talk about with like children, and I think children of all ages, going from the teenage years down to the early stages of youth. I think I just I think my daughter specifically is maybe like she was maybe a little young to start having conversations about like the topics and themes addressed.
But I like
Quite
that
there yet.
she does know enough to let you know when not to when's enough is enough, just letting you know. I like that.
But she knows enough is enough.
Enough is enough. She does. But just speaking more universally, I think that like the kids, there's just so many topics in the show. I think as a parent, I would really like. Of course, I think this is like a dream come true for Trekkie parents, because you want a show that you could watch with like your younger kid and like have these kinds of like important life discussions with. So I love that Prodigy fills that like um that space, in a way, which is really nice. Like I can get that now from Star Trek, if I'm a parent and I want to like have those kinds of discussions with my child, like I can do that, like, which is pretty cool. So and I also think that like I mean, unfortunately it does happen, but I think until like a certain age, like parents should be watching every show with their kids. But I know sometimes to this day people use the iPad as a babysitter, and so like you're not always watching the content with your kids that they're consuming. But I think with Prodigy, it's a show that it's important to watch with your kids, because again, it does have that all ages appeal. There's so much in it that like especially if you're a Trekkie, that like there's so much in it, so many references and things like that like you'll enjoy, but then also new things to talk about with your kiddos and stuff like that. So I like
But
that.
like many Star Treks that came before, I think that if you're like a teenager that can be like easily influenced or what have you, and if you're sitting alone watching a show like Star Trek, I think it can't really do you harm. Watching Star
It's
Trek will
great. Yeah,
benefit you. There are shows out there that probably won't benefit you too much if you're just sitting there watching it alone. Whereas like Star Trek and Star Trek Prodigy is following that proud tradition, I think, of like doing good.
yeah, it's like a safe show. All right, well, let's go into the next part. So, what did you guys specifically think of the conclusion? And were you satisfied with the outcome for all the kids and everything like that? Were you satisfied with the scene at the tribunal scene, like all of that stuff, Braxton?
I was satisfied, but I wasn't satisfied. Like you saying that just like makes me want to like nitpick things. Like, does Zero have legs or does Zero not have legs? I
So
wanted to see more of the
Zero
ship.
hovers. Well, I'll just tell you this, like it. We know that Zero hovers, like he can intentionally remove his legs somehow, because I think that's like the same as like similar to Janeway's hollow technology. I bet parts of Zero's suit can be dematerialized and then rematerialized as needed, depending on the
It's an
situation.
ugly ass suit. This new thing, get rid of it. It's dreadful.
Really, I love it. I think it
Oh
looks like
my
something NASA.
goodness.
That's so
Oh
funny.
my, no. It's
I
just
love it.
hideous.
Oh no, not me. I think it's great.
If you're gonna take away the legs, take all of it away.
Oh
New
my
suit.
goodness.
New
The
suit
only
for
thing-
Zero. Hashtag new suit season 2.
The
Yeah.
only thing that I feel 100% certain about is that Dal and Gwen will find each other again.
What do you think of Dal now that you've seen his whole journey this season, Braxton, specifically? Like,
Irresponsible.
still?
He never should have been the captain.
He grew.
Are you kidding? He's like,
like
that's incorrect. How can you justify
like-
that he's irresponsible?
Janeway
He was going to go
was-
down with the ship, Braxton.
because that was only because he couldn't get his Starfleet, so he felt like he didn't have anything else to live for.
Wow, you're so hard on Dal.
So the thing is, so like Janeway, like in the court scene, like she totally read him. She was like, "Ooh, like who more exemplifies like more of the Federation than this person that has like genes from 26 different Federation species?" Now he doesn't have any of the best of them, but he's got like some genes. Like
That's not what Janeway said.
That was like standing there with like his chest. Like, he was like, "Oh yeah, 26 species." And she was like, "Oh yeah," he didn't have like any of like the good traits. And he was like,
Can I actually? I want to read that I wrote. I love that monologue so much.
Well, he's
that I
only
wrote
got the
it down.
cons, right?
The guy goes, "Good intentions doesn't mean," and then Janeway interrupts and says, "Good intentions. I know my prior statement about my experience with the accused were unusual to say the least, but 1 year ago, not one of them had ever heard of the United Federation of Planets, yet through fate, engineered by their own ingenuity, they set their compass to Starfleet, and without their intervention, I cannot say with certainty if all of us would be sitting here right now. The protostar, named after the early stage in the formation of a star, powered by it, we designed a ship that could explore the far reaches of our understanding in hope of finding others who share our ideals so that we may create a stronger alliance. Stack up those tests, the psych evaluations, interviews. They don't hold a candle to what this crew has been through. And concerning the augment, Braxton, whose name you've conveniently forgotten, his name is Dal RL. Is he genetically engineered? Yes. Was he enhanced in every way? Look at him. Of course not. But this is what she says. But his heart is bigger than any in this room. I should know. The Federation is made up of 150 member species. Dal's DNA includes 26 of those. So I asked you, is there a better living embodiment of what our alliance represents? So I don't think she meant to insult him. I think she was trying to say in that moment that the biases and the and sort of the fear that people in the Federation have of augments is because up until now, augments have always been somehow, augments somehow always have had an advantage over non-augmented people because they have enhanced, strength, enhanced like abilities of all kinds, whereas the people who engineered Dal didn't want to give him those unfair advantages and engineered him to be normal, regular. And I don't want to say normal, but just regular, like non-enhanced. They just thought it was a beautiful thing to create a life form that had all these different species like traits, you know. And I think someone pointed out like he might even be more of a chimera. I think it was our friend oh, who was it who said that? Anyways, he might be a chimera more than he is an augment, meaning like, you know, this kind of like mix of all these different, you know, species. Like he certainly doesn't have like any of those enhanced abilities that augments that we've learned to fear has. He is having to fight just as hard, maybe even harder, as a matter of fact, than some people who are born, you know, like maybe a pure Vulcan or a pure whatever, you know, or mostly Vulcan or mostly whatever, you know, have to go through. So I think Dal represents like, you know, the ultimate, you know, kind of rising above adversity, but using your heart. And it's true throughout this whole thing. The one thing that I can say consistently about Dal, and probably why I think I love him the most, is because no matter what, like he ends up doing the right thing. Like his heart is really truly big, and he really loves his crew and his friends, and you know, and I agree that like yes, he was the most logical choice to sacrifice himself in his mind, probably because he didn't get into Starfleet. But even then, it doesn't diminish, I think, the fact that he was willing to do that and sacrifice himself. What's this here, Toddy?
This is Dal.
Yeah,
He's talking about him. He's listening to you. He's listening to you speak of him.
I love Dahl. I think he's a great
Look at his enhanced look. I think he's grown. Honestly, I think he's grown since like episode 1. No, Braxton's correct. He wasn't fit to be captain, but then like that's kind of an unfair statement because none of them were fit to be captain. Like they're kids. They've never been in this kind of situation. They haven't gone through any training. I think he did pretty good, to be honest, for like the journey and the adventure that they went on. And I'm very excited to see like where his journey takes him. And yeah, I do think he has grown. He's kind of like learned more about himself. He's come to terms with like who he is and where he's come from, or at least he's starting to. And he's not as like impatient, not as reckless, not as obnoxious as he was like when it first began. Not as pretentious, mainly.
You know, it seems like Jankum, Gwen, and Zero have plenty of training and knowledge of things. Like it just seems like it to me. Like Gwen is like a good fighter. You know, like her father has been like, you know, like raising her to like be able to like fight and like kill Starfleet. So I feel like, you know, she's got like
well, in
a
the
lot of knowledge about stuff. Like, she can fly stuff, and
yeah,
like,
in the Murder Planet episode, Braxton, like she even says, my father taught me like astrometrics and like, you know,
yeah,
IT.
Well,
and
she was
like,
being primed to be the next
Zero
one.
knows a lot. Jankum knows a lot about engineering.
Yeah, I mean, Medusans are
Are
non-corporeal.
you trying to tell us that Dal knows nothing? Is that where you're going with it?
I'm saying that he is the last person who should have been the captain of the ship. I mean, maybe not the last person. Maybe like Murph. Maybe he's before Murph.
Let me argue this.
Going back to
he instigated the whole escape and he led them to do this whole thing. So sometimes being the captain is not about knowing the most, but it's about being able to find the people to crew, like to be your crew, and finding the people to lead, right? So he did a good job at finding the right people that were going to help him.
I think, yeah, and Zero says it best in the first episode, in Lost and Found Part 1 and 2. Zero says like, you know, everyone else here on Tars Lamora has given up hope, yet you keep trying and trying. Like he's relentless in trying to escape. Like nothing deters him from escaping and being you know, and he believes, he hopes and believes that he's gonna escape no matter what. Like he never doubts, you know, for a second. And that's, yeah, and he's not only that, but I think that alone sometimes is enough. Like when everyone else is given hope, if there's that one person, you kind of rally around them, because you're like, well, I mean, what do they know that I don't know? Or like, you know, or just, you know, in general, you're like, well, I mean, this guy obviously thinks he can do it, so let's go, you know. So I think that like Dow's got that heart. Like again, it's just like he doesn't believe in giving up. He doesn't believe that it's over, or that like it's hopeless. Like he's so filled with hope, you know, like, and I love that about Dal, despite like just really tragic things that have happened to him too. Like, do you guys remember his Ferengi mom? Like that lady messed him up too, right? Like, and despite all these things, like he's still trying to do the right thing. Like, you know, I mean, he's jaded at times, but he comes through. He always comes through. Sorry, I'm getting over this cold thing, so sometimes my
No, you're
voice
tearing
goes
up.
away.
I know you're gonna cry.
A little bit of that too. Joanne, thanks for stopping by. Hi, y'all. I'm on a break and decided to pop in for a few minutes. Thank you so much. It's nice to see you. Happy New Year. And Captain Quinn says, a prime example of kids in charge of a starship, Red Squad and the Valiant crew. Oh yeah, they're a little older, but yeah, it's true. What? Wait, which is the Valiant crew? I can't remember.
Isn't that the whole Deep Space Nine thing?
There was a the Valiant. Oh, I'm starting to remember that episode. This year, I'm going to be talking about Deep Space Nine on Starfleet Boy. I'm so excited. So this is the year that we're going to talk about it. So it's appropriate. It's its 30th anniversary, which, by the way, today is Deep Space Nine's 30th anniversary. So happy anniversary to Deep Space Nine.
Show Deep Space Nine some love and respect, new Star Trek. We've got like these TNGs and these Voyages everywhere.
I think after Picard season 3, you're gonna start to see more DS9.
It's
love.
like TNG's got its sequel now. Voyager has its sequel now. I feel like Strange New Worlds is the spiritual successor to like the original series. Discovery's like the spiritual successor, or at least in a lot of ways, like Enterprise. Deep Space Nine, come on, where's the Deep Space Nine? Lower Decks was the first animated show after like the animated series. Come on, where's
you know, I think that Deep Space Nine is there's so many hard stories, and it's sad, and it's like it's tough to watch, like especially after the Dominion War starts. Like I don't know, dude. Like I feel like DS9 has so many super downer stories that like other Star Trek feel like light and good to watch, and they don't just like beat you down with like all these deaths and like super hard stories, dude.
Over names.
Like, I think that that's why Deep Space Nine is less popular than other tracks, simply because it doesn't make you feel as good. It doesn't feel as good to watch, Like when I do Deep Space Nine rewatches, I only watch basically until the Dominion War starts, and then I stop because like many of those stories are simply just too hard, and I don't want to watch like real hard stories.
Well, I can understand that. In certain times, I guess it's not. I do think it's a very loved show, but I think you're right. Maybe it's not necessarily one that you want to like a show that you can explore as much as like TNG or Voyager. Though like Lower Decks did a good job. You know what I mean? Like showing like Quark's always going to be a fun time. Kira's always such like a great character that like if you show Kira, people are going to love it. So there's like ways to do that.
It is the darkest still, I feel like, of all the Star Trek shows.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe Disco gives it a run for its money.
Disco tries.
Maybe Picard also kind of gives it a run for its money, because like the whole...
Yeah, Picard is filmed at night, so it's dark, yes.
No, but like season 1's kind of heavy, right? Like with the XB and like Icheb, right? Like that's pretty... I think I remember when we were watching it, like, even though I love, Star Trek Picard's my favorite of the new shows.
Is dark the word you would go for though? Like, or is it? I don't know. I'd have to find the word that I'm looking for.
Season 1, especially, I feel like that is appropriate. Season 2, not so much. So I think that's that. But
that's that.
Done. So okay, so we talked about so what do you guys think of the Protostar class being approved, and do you think do you think that's the like? Do you think that's something you'd like to see in live action? Is see a protostar flying around in a future Star Trek series?
It's a short-lived class of ship, though, isn't it? Because don't they cancel everything by the time we get to like Picard, and the only ship that exists is Riker's thing? They like scrapped every other every other type of ship.
Oh, you're thinking of the scene with the Zheng He and all and
Yeah.
the Inquiry class and the other class. I forget what it was.
Didn't they
think that's
say that
just
they stopped like producing like
I think that's
all
just
of
a
these variants, and they just went for like one main type of ship?
I think that's just a squadron.
Okay.
I don't think that's like
Is that like the first
representative
response
of the whole fleet.
squadron?
And Protostar's mission is exploratory, so it wouldn't have been summoned to a battle
Hmm.
necessarily, right? Like the Protostar does have like weapons and stuff, but it's not meant to be like it's meant to be like a scout ship is what I would call it more than anything else. Like it's meant to go out and scout new
I
further reaches of space and
I
stuff
enjoy
like
the idea of having like a certain type of ship that is kind of really purposefully built to go out to like the edge of like the Delta Quadrant or the Gamma Quadrant, that kind of stuff, so that like it really is like the purpose is basically doing the Voyager mission but on purpose.
Now,
You know,
would all those other ships of its class would they all be powered in the same way that the Protostar is?
Yeah, I would
Like,
imagine so.
mm,
isn't it a bit dangerous for the moment? Wouldn't they have to run like more scans and more tests? Because like the one time that they did it, it threw Chakotay into a wormhole to the future.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. I have to rewatch, but I think that the whole wormhole thing, I don't think it threw them into it. I think they went into it like they were exploring it.
dude, this technology seems dangerous, dude. I don't
That's
know.
what I think. This is the new mushroom, right? This is the new spore
This
drive. It's
actually, yeah, and it's funny because it does go so fast.
more
Like
stable.
I think like they said the only thing that could clear a supernova in time would be a proto warp,
I
a
think the
ship in proto
solution
warp.
is the Borg quantum slipstream
What?
technology. The Borg. They have the quantum slipstream technology there. That's how the Borg go from one place to another.
Right. And so yeah, Protostar would it's
I think
interesting
that's the
because
solution.
something does happen. You're right. Maybe they do discontinue it because we don't have Protostar drives in the 32nd century. Like the burn affected everything that did dilithium, but if Protostar was successful as a class and if they decided to put Protostars in starships, so yeah, maybe something happens along the
I mean,
line where
all it
it's
takes is
discontinued.
one explosion to kill 17 billion people. I mean, dude, like, I don't know, dude, explosion like wiped out a whole solar system, like billions of people died. It's like, ooh,
the
sorry, like,
Do you
kind of
think
like,
the
I
Romulus
think
supernova was caused by an unstable protostar drive?
No, we know how it was caused, right? Remember remember wasn't it the oh no, that's
It's the
not what
Diviner's second return.
there were the
dude,
uh
I feel like the seasons of Discovery are going to show us why like the protostar technology no longer exists, dude. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a
I don't think
problem.
so. I don't think so.
well
I don't expect things from
I don't
Discovery.
I have a feeling we won't
They do
see
their own stories, to be
Did I
fair.
say Discovery, dude? I meant Prodigy. Sorry.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I have a
Yeah,
feeling we
Prodigy will
won't
explain it. Yeah.
see the protostar again except for like when it's we won't see another protostar class starship in Prodigy again. I think that next season we're going to be aboard like Voyager A, which
Hmm.
by the way, I think that like, it was just like a little acknowledgement to say that like, oh, I think that was like a little like Starfleet approved it because it is, a good exploration vessel or something like that. But I don't know. I wonder if Uhura, this is
I don't.
interesting.
So I think that the show is like it's maybe not like top priority to explore the whole like protostar class and its mission, etc. But it will definitely be there. Like we were talking about like the characters, returning characters earlier. I think that there will be a lot of things that we'll see happen in the background, even if they're not like front and center in the show. I would like to see, like give Vincent Kim, the captaincy of like a protostar class and let him go out, explore something.
Maybe they've also built in fail safes after the experience with the protostar, whereas like the new protostar class, like so the protostar that we got to know this season was an NX registry, so it was a prototype. Maybe the new protostar class doesn't use quite as big a protostar, like maybe it uses like a smaller protostar or something like that, and just enough to like, maybe they decide, oh yeah, she was overpowered, protostar NX was overpowered, so we're going to power it down a little bit to prevent from that happening. And remember also that that protostar would have been very destructive because it would have created a supernova, or it did rather, but they mitigated the destruction. However, even a warp core breach is pretty destructive. Like was it the Stargazer's warp core that blew up the whole entire fleet and the Borg ship? Like, so that, like, and it could even, there's like a lot of destruction that happens just even when a standard warp core, I feel like, blows up. So who knows? Like, so maybe, yeah, they minimize it. Like maybe the new protostar class doesn't go quite as fast or something like that, but or just isn't as overpowered or whatever. So who knows? We'll see what happens. It'll be neat to see what they do if they do bring the protostar class into play. But as far as live action goes, I would love to see the protostar realized in live action as well. I would like to see it pop up in a future Star Trek show. It would be neat. What I would like more than anything is a model of the of the protostar, and so who knows when we'll see that. Although I heard the inventory for Eagle Moss has been rescued or something by master replicas, and so you'll be able to get them soon. Ben Robinson was tweeting about that, so go check it out. Also, real quick promo, since we've been talking a lot about Star Trek Picard, Terry Metalis did an interview on Trek Central, and it's up now, so you guys can go check that out on Trek Central as well. It's an hour interview, and apparently there's a lot of scoops about Picard season 3. I started watching it. I haven't finished watching it, so I've got to go.
I don't want to know.
I know you don't.
It's like a trailer.
So but I trust that Terry Metalis is not gonna. I'm gonna watch it because I trust.
I told you the ending. I'm sure of it.
No, he's not going to do that. He wouldn't do that. So I'm going to watch it because I think Terry Metalis knows what to hold back and what not to hold back.
Who's going to die? Think Picard's going to die?
No, I don't. We're not talking about Picard, Toddy, first of all. We're going to do plenty of Picard streams. Don't worry. So I think that's it. We've talked about pretty much everything, right? Oh, Gwen going on. Oh, Gwendala the Unifier. So I love that she finally gets a title. Like how they've all had these titles, the Diviner, the what was Essentia's Vonnegut name?
The Accuser? No.
The Accuser.
The Vindicator? No.
It was something like that. What was it?
It wasn't the Vindicator.
I don't remember.
Was it? I can't believe how
quickly. Do they all have like a title?
Yeah, the Diviner was the Diviner. Then there was the. Gosh, if someone in the audience can remember, type it in there.
Gosh, what was she?
Let me see if I can look at it.
I didn't notice that they all had like a specific title. This is all the people of the same the Vonnegut there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vindicator.
That's what she was, the Vindicator. Okay, cool. Thank you, Cake. And Benjamin. Cool.
Now, didn't I say Vindicator
did you?
30 seconds ago?
Did
I
you?
thought that I did. We gotta rewind the tape, dude.
I believe you. We don't have to rewind it. You were right. So anyways, but now Gwendala's the Unifier is what Zero dubbed her. And I love that. I hope she goes as the Unifier. But
Zero is known as the Legless.
So she's off to see the Legless. She's off to go to find her homeworld. And so when she finds them, there's 52 years from now until
she's gonna meet her dad, young dad.
Yeah, she's gonna meet her.
What up, young dad?
Like really young dad, right?
That's
like
a really cool story.
he might be a teenager like her.
She might have to convince young dad to like not go crazy.
Confirm. Braxton did say the Vindicator.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Keg.
He's been vindicated.
You've been vindicated.
Dude, Keg vindicated me.
I don't know why I didn't think the Vindicator was right, but it was. Good job, Braxton. But yeah, the unifier. However, I think like so. Okay, I don't. Going back. Let's go back into our little time travel brains for a second. So like, if she is able to unify her people and change the future, then none of this will happen.
No, because that's not exactly how it works from what I understand in Star Trek. Like at this point, you have to assume that like time still continues to like flow forward, so to speak. So like even if she does change things like that, like that future is still this past.
There was an interesting line. I just remember
Chakotay is in an alternate future right now.
That's what I was gonna say. There's a so they do go out of the way to say
technically it's already been done. Actually, this has all already been done. We just haven't seen it yet, right? The alternate future, like it's all been experienced. We're just experiencing it for the first time as the viewer. So it's already been fixed.
The Vulcan says it's an interspatial flexure in approximately the same space-time coordinates in an alternate future. So that's not the same as like a lot of people were speculating about Kelvin timeline
it's
stuff.
It's more like all good things.
All good things, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. All good Janeways.
Like
all good Chakotays.
So next season, what are your wishes for next season? Your hopes and wishes for next season that you hope that you
Kuchimoya.
No more Kuchimoya.
No more Kuchimoya.
No more Kuchimoya. So I'm hoping to see definitely the Vonnegut thing with Gwyn. I want to see her do that. I'm excited about seeing the kids on Voyager A, which 100% is going to happen.
You're excited about seeing 7 of 9 slap Janeway?
No, I'm not excited about that. Although that might be funny. Happy New Year, Daniel CO! Let's see what else. I'm really hoping that we'll see other characters pop in from Star Trek, like especially from Voyager. So I think Kim, Tom, Harry, Tom, B'Elanna, the Doctor, even. Like it'd be neat. I think Prodigy would be a cool show next season to give us some follow-ups on these characters from Voyager and see what they're all doing.
So let me ask you guys a question about like the structure of like how they're going to structure season 2. Do you think that season 2 is going to pick up with them already gone or like leaving in episode 1 off to find Chakotay, or do we think that they're going to spend some time with Starfleet, with the Federation, with characters that we've known before then going off on their adventure like later on in the season?
I think it would be fine either way, but I do think we're going to get some ceremony. So like I do think we'll see like like, oh yeah, like I think the kids will get excited.
A bit of a send-off.
A little bit of a send-off, the Voyager on its mission. I think that Janeway, now she knows where Chakotay is and that Chakotay's like her hopes are lifted too. And I think that like that's still her top priority is to go find Chakotay. And now clearly Starfleet seems to be behind her as well, now that they've seen this like interspatial flexure and got the the signal from 52 years in the future and stuff like that. I think Starfleet still doesn't understand quite what lays in store for them with the first contact of Vonnegut, but I also think that maybe Janeway will potentially set off the problem that creates everything and then have to undo it. I don't know. There might be stuff like that. I don't know. That's the kind of thing that I'm thinking will
I
happen.
would like to spend a couple episodes before leaving where, like, you see a bit of like how Starfleet life is, and experience it through like these young children, because like the idea is to show off kind of like what Starfleet is and what it's about. But we've spent so much time getting there, and then we're off again on a new adventure. It's great, but I would like the kind of respite. Also, it would enable things like Dal to meet up with, like, say, Bashir. Bashir's an augment. He's in Starfleet. It would be interesting to have like them share like experiences or bond or something like that. Like do that kind of stuff with a few characters. Zero could meet, I don't know, like Data. They're not quite the same. No, Data's gone. But
Data is gone.
That kind of stuff.
Captain Quinn says, "I'm sure we shall see them learning the ropes in San Francisco and learn from the new gardener." Oh yeah, who's gonna replace Boothby? Poor Boothby. I love Boothby. I forgot about Boothby.
Who do we want?
How about you, Braxton? What are your hopes for next season?
I'm really bad at predictions. I have no idea
No,
what
you
is
just
coming.
not predictions, just hopes. Like, what kind of things do you hope you'll see?
Well, he wants
I just want Dal and Gwen to reunite.
Yes.
That's really the only thing that I think is like anything that I really expect for season 2. I have no idea what to expect. I don't know what I want.
But are you excited for season 2? Are you gonna watch it as well?
I am.
Nice.
Mm-hmm, I am.
I think Braxton's journey is pretty cool because like you were the most skeptical about whether you would like the show or not, right? Like I feel like in our little group, so that's pretty cool. So yay. Okay,
yeah, I don't really even watch adult cartoons. Like the only I watch Lower Decks. Like I watch Prodigy, but generally I don't really watch cartoons. So yeah, it pushed me out of my comfort zone a little bit. It's like, I don't want to watch this child stuff.
Not anymore. Now you're into it. Yeah.
This kind of gives me Avatar: The Last Airbender or The Legend of Korra kind of vibes, where it is made for children. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender, more so than Legend of Korra. Like it's really made for children. You can feel that narratively speaking, they've made it for children. Structurally speaking, it's made for children. It's supposed to be on a children's network, but there is more depth and more layers to it that can be appreciated by adults. And this show is like even more than like say Legend of Korra, because here you're layering on to previous Star Trek. Like a lot of the Chakotay and what all of that depends entirely on like Voyager, right? So I'm not saying you can't appreciate it if you haven't seen Voyager, but if you have, as an adult, appreciated Voyager, then it's going to give you so much more when watching this show.
It'd be interesting.
So I think it works really well for adults.
It'd be interesting if Prodigy goes past the point of Picard, and maybe these kinds of events with the Vonnegut are what kick off some of these like future temporal war. Like that's kind of like, we know from Discovery that there was like a huge like kind of temporal war, right? Like, and we know that from Enterprise as well, but we never really kind of understand how it gets kicked off. So it'd be interesting to see if like somehow all of this comes into play with that. Before we end, like, are there any big critiques that stuck with you, like things that are unresolved from this season or this episode in general? Because we've been doing a pretty good job of pointing out all the things we love, but just I want to give you guys a chance to just get to put in that one last critique if you have any.
The animation is, I think that people saying that it's as good as like film quality, what have you, is a bit hyperbolic. I think that I love the art style, but some of the animation isn't quite there. Like the character movements, sometimes they're a bit jank. They feel
really?
they feel like oddly rigged video game characters in like a cutscene sometimes. But that's really the only kind of critique that I can have. because otherwise, like that contrast with this, as you said, there's like lip quivers, there's like reflections in the eyes, so there's like a lot of detail put into it. It's just like sometimes I feel like the character movements, like the rigging isn't too flawless.
I'm a huge fan of stop
That's
motion, and it feels like stop motion animation, so I kind of like that. But I always thought that was intentional. But that's interesting that you see it that way.
But that's really my only complaint. I don't really have complaints about the show. They released it in 2 parts, and that was disrespectful. But that's not the show's fault.
Anything for you, Braxton?
Critiques, draw the damn legs. I don't have any other critiques besides that.
Well, I'd say that's pretty good considering how many things you could probably draw the damn legs.
There are worse shows out there, I guarantee you.
I say no, don't draw the legs. I say keep the tradition alive.
The legs must be drawn here.
Star Trek, I say that the legs must be drawn here. Cake says that Prodigy wrapped up more loose ends than most of new Star Trek. I don't get the mid-season break because I'm in the UK. Oh yeah, that's the only critique I have, is that I hope next season is continuous, but I think it'll have the same. I think they'll do the same thing. I get the impression that it takes, because of things like the legs missing. I think they don't have enough time to do everything they want to.
I mentioned this. I mentioned this in the review that I wrote. Like, I complain about the mid-season break that they took, which wasn't a mid-season break. It was like
they took several breaks.
It was an outright interruption because they released 3 full seasons of other Star Trek shows in between. So it was kind of a bit much for me. But like I mentioned, it's kind of like a complaint that I can have in the now. But as future generations and as future viewers will experience the show, it'll never be a problem ever again, because now people will just stream it, or they'll have like their Blu-ray sets, and like that issue won't exist anymore. Everyone's going to be able to watch it in their continuous run. So that was just a complaint while it was being released, I guess.
That being said, for me, I think that if they had to do it that way, they did choose some pretty good spots to, like, in my opinion, like if you look at the segments that aired, each kind of stands, each little segment of.
Well, I think they cut it just in 2.
No, it was 5 episodes. Then they had a little break. Then it was another 5 episodes, and they had a longer break. Yeah, remember the first 5 episodes aired? They did a little couple weeks, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't remember that, but
if I'm not mistaken, that's how it was. And then they did up to episode 10. Then there was this long break, like you said, from 10 to 11. And then didn't we have another break?
I don't feel like it. I'm not sure.
Oh, so the last 10 episodes, I think, were.
But the season flows very well when not interrupted. It really works well.
Oh, here we go. The Hagen brothers said on Strange New Pod, they were going to release at least in groups of 10 without the breaks.
Do the 20. Do the full 20. Fight it, Hageman brothers. Go tell Kurtzman it needs to be
Dan
20.
and Kevin.
You release the season or nothing at all. Release it.
No, not nothing at
No,
all.
nothing at all. So the season. Release the season.
Dang. Well, I'm going to give this finale.
You have to give it a 12. You cried.
I think I'm going to give it an unrateable, actually, because it's so good. So it gets one of my rare Starfleet Boy chooses not to rate the episode because it was quite perfect and quite amazing.
Oh, wow. That's
and I have to say, of the new Star Trek series, like, Picard's still my favorite, but I think Star Trek Prodigy's right neck and neck almost with Star Trek Picard. We'll see. Terry Matalas.
No, the pressure is on.
the pressure's on. So yeah, to me, I feel like after Picard, for personal reasons, because I love Jean-Luc and all those guys, and that whole TNG thing is my favorite. But personal feelings aside, I think Star Trek Prodigy might be the strongest Star Trek series to be launched in the new era. It might even be a perfect season. I'll let you know when I go back and watch it. Might be a nearly perfect season, I'll say.
Oh, wow.
Of
Oh,
Star
wow.
Trek, yeah, because I gave it a lot of tens throughout the whole thing. What about you? What do you rate this episode, Braxton?
So I rate this episode a 10. Um, yeah, I rate this episode a 10. For me, ranking new track, Disco, um, Strange New World, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Picard. Picard is trash. Um,
Oh my
but yeah,
goodness.
but I thought that this was a great this was a great way to end this first season. Like I said, I think that Prodigy is perhaps Star Trek's most beautiful show. It's not necessarily my kind of show because, like, I appreciate live action more so than animated. But I thought it was great. Like, it was a really fun ride. I really loved seeing our characters grow. My favorite character throughout the whole first season has been Rock Talk. I absolutely love her. But yeah, super fun season. Gets a 10 from me this season finale.
Nice. I think my favorite character was Hollow Janeway. And Zero, maybe. I think Zero of the kids, Zero is my favorite. Hollow Toddy. Before you sacrifice
My
yourself.
favorite character is Zero, no doubt. Angus Emery gets shout out for MVP. Voice acting was absolutely amazing. I'm not as intense as you guys. I'll give it like a 7.5. I think it was a very solid ending. It's not like the most perfect of endings. Like I said, I'm not too much of a fan of the fighting that goes on in the beginning. But no, it's a very solid, it's a very solid episode. And it's part of a very solid two-parter that ends probably one of the best season ones that Star Trek has to offer, at the very least. Like, Star Trek seasons one haven't always been the best, and if anything, this new era of Star Trek is delivering some good season ones, like Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, Prodigy. These are good season ones, and this is one of the best. I can't wait to see where the show goes, and I'm really happy that people are kind of like, I don't know, waking up to like how good this thing is, and not just dismissing it at face value of like, it's animation, it's for kids. You know what I mean? It has a lot more to offer.
Right on. Daniel in the audience offers us his rankings, which is number 1, Strange New Worlds, number 2, Picard, number 3, Lower Decks, number 4, Prodigy, and number 5, Discovery. So it's interesting. I call this your Star Trek DNA, your ranking. Speaking of which, I ranked my
Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, Discovery, Picard.
That's you?
Yeah, I would think so.
Mm.
How does he say it? Picard is trash. Is that how it's supposed to be said?
Dude, Picard is trash, dude.
My feelings maybe aren't as, enthusiastic as Braxton's
Dang.
there, but I would. You know what? The thing is, Picard is in the balance here. It all hangs on season 3 because it could like really climb that ladder.
I think it will. I can't wait.
I think it will too, actually, but.
I can't wait. Speaking of which, it's less than 45 days away or something, like 44 days away. It's close. It's coming up. So on that note, little housekeeping. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight. Audience, thank you for joining us in this discussion and being so wonderful and active in the chat. Like, we love the comments. We love to share in the discussion with you guys. Thanks to everyone who's a regular for bearing with us, as Starfleet Boy has had a very hectic holiday schedule, and so I haven't been able to do these like when I say I will. So they kind of pop up at random times, and you guys somehow find a way to come in and join our discussions. So I appreciate that very much. But that being said, we're going back for at least a little while to our regular Saturdays at 3 p.m. where we're talking about the animated series, and we're going to make our way through that. And I think we might actually I think we might actually finish the animated series before Picard does. When Picard airs, we are going to have those discussions on Thursdays. I have to figure out who's going to join me, so stay tuned for that. But every Thursday, I can't wait. I'm not going to be able to wait till Saturdays
When is this?
to
This is
do.
February, right?
Yeah, February 16th, starting February 16th. Starfleet Boy will do Star Trek Picard discussions on Thursdays, so tune in for that. Hopefully, Toddy and Braxton, you'll be able
Do
to
we
join
know
us.
what the Star Trek release schedule is like for this upcoming year? Or no?
What's that? What do you mean? What?
Like, do we know what the release schedule is for 2023? They've got like Picard February,
and I think after that you'll probably get Discovery. No, I don't know. Tech Track is good at all this stuff.
Yeah, I'll ask Father.
Ask Father.
Dates.
He knows all those dates. So yeah, we'll be doing those discussions on Thursdays live. Stay tuned for the time. It might be in the late afternoon or in the early evenings. We will continue to do our Saturday discussions after Star Trek the animated series. We're going to do Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which I'm super excited about that. So check those discussions out on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Braxton, what have you got going on that you want to promote?
Dude, not so much. Now that we have a little lull in Star Trek, I guess I'm just gonna be like hanging out on Twitter and working out. You can find me at Leviathan026 on Twitter. And yeah, I look forward to more Trek ahead.
More Trek ahead. Toddy, what's going on Trek on the Tube?
I'm gonna try and release my Prodigy review as soon as possible. I have already written it, which is like insane compared to like how long it took me to write my Lower Decks one. It's very positive. It's very, very positive. I love the show. So that's gonna be coming out. I'm gonna try and put it out sometime before like the 15th, and then hopefully I'm actually gonna try and stick to pretty much a 2 video a month schedule. So like a video every 2 weeks now. So after that, there will be like maybe a Star Trek Species video. We'll get back into like the Star Trek Species kind of stuff. I want to do some like experimental kind of Star Trek videos, kind of like leave the review or explanation realm as well this year. So yeah, hopefully some exciting things happening with the channel.
Oh, dude, you should make a video about the Vidians.
Oh,
I should actually. That's a great one.
There you go. Vidian requests. Also, audience, if you're still listening, what species should Toddy cover? Request.
Absolutely. So I try to cover a species. So I've already done.
I say slime worms, by the way. That's my idea.
Yeah. Well, the idea is I have plenty that are already done in the playlist, but the idea is based on what kind of shows coming out. So Picard season 3 is coming out. I was like, what kind of species could I address or should I address?
Have you done androids
in preparation for that?
synths?
No, I haven't done the synths actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, we got to vote for Delta. Have you done Deltons?
Deltons is interesting.
Yeah, you haven't done Deltons yet. Yay, look at all these ideas you're getting.
I know, right?
All these requests.
Someone told me the Breen, which I think is really good, actually. That's a really good idea.
You should definitely do the Breen as well. Yeah, especially because I think they're going to feature in Lower Decks more. I have a feeling the Breen are going to...
That's why I was thinking the Breen is a good idea, because I think that, anyway.
I think that, yeah, we're going to see more of the Breen. Very cool.
So, yeah.
If there's Medusans, you've done Medusans, haven't you? I feel like
I have done the Medusans.
Yeah, Captain Quinn, go to Trek on the Tube and search Medusans. Check out his video on Medusans. Daniel Seti Eels. Wow. All right. Well, I have to go, unfortunately, but this has been so much fun. Thank you, gentlemen, again for joining me. Live long and prosper, everyone, and we will see you next time. Thank you.